Good morning, everybody. Let's stand and sing. Welcome. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Open your ears to the song. Open your ears to the song. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Open your hearts, everyone. Open your hearts, everyone. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Don't be afraid of some change. Don't be afraid of some change. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in. One more. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Today will be a joyful day. So enter, rejoice, and come in.
That, of course, is our Spring Forward song. Don't be afraid of some change. Enter, rejoice, and come in. What, are you kidding? We're all exhausted. Those who've shown up, some of them are still sleeping in, right? Anyway, put that on the calendar. I think that's the perfect one for this. Well, welcome to those of you who are here, hopefully awake, to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Spokane, where we join together to create a nourishing, liberal religious home and to champion justice, diversity, and environmental stewardship in our wider world. Or, as we like to say in short, to create community, find meaning, and work for justice. Yes, welcome to each and every one of you. We're so glad to have all of you here this morning, and want to begin, as always, by embracing all that you bring with you, all of your unique beliefs, background, lifestyle, experiences, your differences, all that helps make you who you are is welcome here today. So welcome to one and all. I do have a couple of announcements I want to make. One, you'll notice that our unity candle is alit at the front of our sanctuary. For those who know Doug Breedy, he passed away earlier this week, and we want to keep this candle alit in honor of his light and life, and of course thinking of Linda and their family at this time. Also, I want to let you know that our partner church service is happening next Sunday, and along with that, following our second service, there will be a Hungarian goulash luncheon. Something you won't want to miss if you've not had Hungarian and goulash before. It is delicious. It is not a potluck, so you don't have to worry about that, but donations will be accepted and help go to our partner church program. So please plan to attend that. And yeah, another reminder that Jackie's concert is coming up in 2 weeks on Friday, March 20th at 6 p.m. here at the church. You're going to have an opportunity to hear the great Jackie Sandberg perform an entire concert. So that will be, it's only $20 donation suggested, free to those under 18. So we're looking forward to that. Okay, seems like I'm forgetting something, but all right, good enough. Maybe it'll come to me. If not, forget about it. What was it? Oh, that's it, yeah. Jacob, do you want to come and just give us a quick minute on what's happening after the service? Welcome, Freddie. Good to see you. Yes, thank you for the reminder. Do you mind? Caught you off guard.
No, it's totally fine. I was going to actually put Freddie to come up here, but yeah. So Freddie's coming from the coast. He does the totem pole journeys and does a lot of the other events intersectionally mixing together with social justice and environmental protection. And he has been leading a gathering on the coast with traditional canoes that they paddle across the San Juan Islands to celebrate culture, and they bring in people from Maui. And actually, Freddie's probably going to do a much better job than I would to describe what Freddie does. So maybe Freddie can just come up and just real quick, 1 minute. You'll probably do a better job than I would. And he's dressed for the occasion. So.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, if you're live somewhere or recorded. Just wanted to thank the home and thank the opportunity. Thank you, Jacob, and thank our relatives. We'll be talking a little bit about the gathering of the Eagles. Might slip in a little bit about the totem we brought here this past year. And so just inviting you here right after at 12:30. And good to see each and every one of you. Blessings and thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah. And we want to invite you to the gathering of the Eagles. It is a universalist, intertribal, intergenerational cultural gathering. We have relatives coming from around the world, from South Africa, from Australia. And we bring everybody together with good hearts, good minds, good feelings. And we also do one in the San Juan Islands, and we do one in Maui, in Kihei, Hawaii. And so, not that it's 82 degrees there in the middle of December, but I'm going to invite you anyway. So, thank you.
Thank you. All right, thank you so much. Yeah, Jackie, thank you for helping me find my lost spot there. That was important. And will that be in the sanctuary or in the chapel? Sanctuary. Okay, good. 12:30. Well, we better get on it. Get moving then. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Why don't we forego the greeting of one another this morning? There'll be plenty of time during the social period following the service. Hopefully, there'll be plenty of time, at least enough time to grab a cup of coffee and say hi to someone before the after-service presentation begins. So let's move forward now by lighting our chalice then. The chalice is the symbol of our unity and our solidarity, of our openness and our inclusion, of our community and our individual uniqueness. May this small flame be our offering of warmth to those who are cold and alone, and a light to those in darkness. May it be a flame that ignites justice in our world and a beacon of hope to those in need. And may it reflect at least a spark of truth wherever truth has been lost, and cast a healthy shadow of doubt wherever it's been found.
The opening words this morning are from Thomas More from his book, A Religion of One's Own. When I speak of a religion of one's own, I'm not talking about a selfish, ego-centered, loosely patched together spiritual concoction. I'm recommending a courageous, deep-seated, fate-driven, informed, and intelligent life that has sublime and transcendent dimension. It can be shared in community. It can be accomplished inside or outside a traditional religious organization. It is suitable for the pious and for agnostics and atheists. To be religious, even in a personal way, you have to wake up and find your own portals to wonder and transcendence.
Okay, let's stand and sing. Our world is one world. Our world is one world. What touches one affects us all. The seas that wash us round about, the clouds that cover us, the rains that fall. Our world is one world. The thoughts we think affect us all. The way we build our attitudes with love or hate we make a bridge or wall. Our world is one world. Its ways of wealth affect us all. The way we spend, the way we share, who are the rich or poor, who stand or fall. Our world is one world, just like a ship that bears us all, where fear and greed make many holes, but where our hearts can heal a different call.
We'll now kindle our candles of care for those who are most on our hearts and minds this morning, and we begin with a candle for Linda Breedy and their entire family who are grieving the loss of Doug at this time. We also kindle, as we have been for far too long now, the candle on behalf of the people of Ukraine and the people of Russia and those who are suffering from the war and violence there, the Palestinian people, the people of Israel who are suffering from the war and violence there, as well as now the people of Iran and that region of the world also suffering from war and violence there. The people of Darfur and South Sudan suffering from war and ethnically driven violence and displacement, starvation there. And of course, for the many immigrants in our own country who are suffering from a lot of fear and injustice happening in this land. Let's take a moment of silence on behalf of others you might be thinking of, and as always, you're welcome to name them aloud at this time if you like. Those named aloud, those embraced in our silence, and all those who are suffering in our world at this hour, we hold in our community with compassion. And we now gratefully give and receive this morning's offering, which helps sustain this community and our mission to the larger world. Thank you, Jackie. It is now time for our story for all ages. I don't see any little ones here today. So, would you like me to do it anyway? Okay, all right. What kind of question is that? We're all young at heart, right? So let's see who is here today. Oh, do you remember this person? This is Noth from Noth. Noth, it is great to see you. Now, Noth, remember we are inferior beings. Would you please use your telepathic powers to help us understand your language and what you're saying in our own language? We would appreciate it. Okay, go ahead. All right. So for those who don't know, Not from Noth is not a double negative. Not is his name, and he is an alien from a planet called Noth. Not anymore, I'm not. You mean you're not anymore, or you're not from Noth anymore? I'm not Noth. Okay, I'm somehow you're answering and not answering the question at the same time. I have come to Earth seeking asylum. I want to become a citizen of your planet. Well, I see that would make you an immigrant, but on our planet, people are divided into nations, which means you'd have to apply for citizenship in a particular country. How about your country? Yeah, I don't know if that's going to be such a good idea these days. Not. Maybe you should consider someplace more welcoming. Why do you want to come to Earth anyway? What's wrong with Noth? As you Nederlander, last year I lost our presidential election to a ham sandwich. Yeah, I'd almost forgotten about that. It's not going well, I take it. Can you imagine being governed by anything worse than a ham sandwich? Yeah, actually a ham sandwich sounds pretty good right now for a lot of reasons, but what exactly has your president done that makes you want to become an earthling? He's outlawed many of my favorite things, such as toast. He's outlawed toast. Yes, he feels threatened by toasters, along with horseradish and grilled cheese. Okay, yeah. Our society has become completely authoritarian. Can you imagine what that's like? Again, maybe not exactly what you're going through, but I can certainly empathize with you, Not. Excuse me? What was that? Excuse me? Well, welcome, Mr. President Ham Sandwich. Thank you. It's an honor to be here. Don't be fooled. He's still a Deloney. Oh my gosh. Okay, calm down, Noth. Now let's figure this out. Mr. President, have you come to make peace with Noth and ask him to return to Noth where he belongs? No, nothing like that. I've come to annex Earth as part of Noth. Oh, annex Earth on what grounds? Well, you see, we believe that Earth was originally formed from the teeth of our planet and therefore belongs to us. Don't look at me, I warned you. Yeah. You see, Mr. President, we have ways of dealing with your type here on Earth, such as, well, okay, first of all, we have toasters in almost every household. Toasters? That's right, toasters, and we love horseradish. In fact, horseradish is our favorite food. It's everywhere. And we all have panini grills in our kitchens. And we love grilled sandwiches. You tell him. Okay. Your planet is a planet of monsters. We sure are. And we like to put our sandwiches in our freezers, sometimes for months and years, and then microwave them when we take them out. Well, I'm getting out of here. Keep your planet. I want nothing to do with it. Yay, thank you. You see how easy that was? Okay, so that takes care of that. Now, you are, of course, welcome to stay on Earth as long as you want. No, thank you. I'm going to Costco, and I'm going to buy a freezer and a microwave. Then head back to North and start a revolution. All right, that's wonderful. That's going to teach that. Okay, watch the language. Thank you for blocking that from our minds. Anyway, good luck, Not. Thank you so much for coming. It's really good to know we're not all alone in the universe. Thank you.
For this morning's meditation, words from Wangari Maathai, founder of Kenya's Green Belt movement, empowering women by paying them to plant millions of trees. As I swept the last bit of dust, I made a covenant with myself. I will accept. Whatever will be, will be. I have a life to lead. I recalled words a friend had told me, the philosophy of her faith. Life is a journey and a struggle, she had said. We cannot control it, but we can make the best of any situation. I was indeed in quite a situation. It was up to me to make the best of it.
Good morning. Can you all hear me? Yeah, nice and loud. The name of my song is My Pathway. We got a Supreme Court ruling against the people and a White House all but for sale. Congress is lying low, hiding a sheepish grin. Who's gonna save us from the trouble we're in? Prisons keep going up, there's goop in the water. What's left of civil rights soon may be slaughtered. Who will win in the ongoing fight? lie cannot live, said Martin Luther King. And what do we do when gold became our king? When fake looks real and real seems fake, truth has been reduced to whatever it takes. Have we come to the point where day turns to night, where the wrongs of the system outweigh the right? When fake looks real, real looks fake, truth is reduced now to whatever it takes. We could use what my mama taught me and also my pop. Keep off hard liquor and don't blow your top. Divide and conquer just goes so far till the people wake up and see where we are. Unless we work together and learn to get along, and this land could never be Woody Guthrie's song.
Thank you so much, Pam. Another wonderful original. By the way, did we mention that this is a liberal church?
She just wrote that
I know.
this last week.
I know. Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's amazing. Absolutely worth mentioning. But I know Pam writes these original songs, always so timely with what's going on in our world. Thank you. Yeah. So I'm going to have another sermon about ethics. If you think I'm obsessed with ethics, I am. I know it's not a subject that gets talked about in a lot of churches. But I like to talk about it. I'll begin with something that Socrates once asked. Is the pious loved by the gods because it is pious? Or is it pious because it is loved by the gods? In other words, is good absolute or relative? Is a particular action always right no matter its consequences? Or are the consequences of our actions what makes them good or not? Is it always wrong to kill others, for example? Or is it sometimes necessary to do so for the greater good? Is it wrong to pull that switch to save dozens from being killed by a runaway train, even if it causes the death of one person now standing in its path? Or to avoid such abstractions, was it wrong for the U.S. to kill Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, sparing millions from his cruel and oppressive tyranny, even though it resulted in the deaths of some innocent bystanders? Is ethics a math problem? The greatest good for the greatest number? Or is it based on unyielding rules that must never be broken? Thou shalt not murder, even if it does leave millions to suffer. Questions like these indicate how difficult it is to know if our actions are good or not. Yet as Socrates also said, no one knowingly does evil. Most of us want to be good. But some think that they are good when they aren't, and others that they aren't when they are. Yet almost all of us think that we know the difference between right and wrong, although too few of us have ever studied ethics or learned about its many uncertainties. Simply not something we teach in our society. Perhaps we want to see ourselves as good because we are social animals who need the approval of others to secure our basic needs like belonging, safety, and security. Or maybe as warm-blooded creatures, it's because we innately care for others and we don't wish to cause them harm. Whatever the reasons, we are a species that takes pleasure in the happiness of others. I believe this instinct is the basis for what it truly feels like to be good, being kind to others, valuing their happiness and welfare, and not behaving in ways that cause them to suffer. Yet as I spoke of in depth last Sunday, this instinct to be kind to others often conflicts with our own survival instinct, especially when it comes to protecting and propagating the information within us, the information in our genes and in our heads, our genes and our beliefs. Our selfish genes and selfish memes, the unconscious drivers of our behaviors, don't care about the welfare of others any more than they care about our mortal vessels, so long as they can use them long enough to copy and paste themselves into the future. These competing drives to belong by being good and to progenerate the information within us at all costs can cause us to falsify and to justify our selfish desires and actions in a number of ways. Firstly, as I also said last week, we have evolved to be kind to those most like us and closest to us, while caring less or not at all about those we feel unrelated to or don't even know. This instinct is called kin selection, but it can also include kindred spirits, those whose beliefs, countries, cultures, and identities we feel most akin to. Yet it excludes strangers and foreigners, especially those with ways and ideas that seem strange and foreign to us. Because we cannot relate to them, we don't feel related to them, and we don't necessarily feel that impulse to treat them with kindness, to treat them as kin. Remember, kin and kind share the same root. It's the same word. Being kind to those closest to us is good enough to make us feel good about ourselves. This leads to the second means of seeing ourselves as good, even when we aren't. Confusing being good with being right. Rather than equating goodness with the well-being of others, we equate it with having the right ideas and believing the right things. Like Zeus, who gives birth to Athena from his forehead, his ideal woman, we love our ideas and our beliefs and become extremely defensive when they are threatened, wishing to protect our ideological children as much or even more as we wish to protect our biological children. And why wouldn't we? We learn very quickly in life that in order to be accepted by others, we must hold the right ideas. People have been exiled, persecuted, executed, and wars have been fought over mere ideological differences, because too many of us have confused being good with being right, or even better put, confused being right with being righteous. Thirdly, being convinced that we are right and therefore righteous is bolstered by another unconscious tendency, the feeling of certainty. In his book On Certainty, neurologist Robert Burton says, certainty and similar states of knowing what we know arise out of involuntary brain mechanisms that, like love or anger, function independently of reason. It's an astonishing statement that the more certain we feel about something, the more certain we can be that we are not thinking rationally. Nevertheless, feeling certain we are right, and that being right is the same as being righteous, enables us to feel justified in dehumanizing and demonizing those with whom we disagree. The limited reach of kin selection, equating good with being right instead of with being good to others, kind to others, and feeling certain that we are right and therefore righteous are among the primary reasons that we feel justified in mistreating others rather than following our biological instinct to treat them with kindness. Unlike other animals, as far as we know, humans have the unique ability to consider matters like these. We wonder about our motivations, we scrutinize our behaviors, and we want to be good so badly that we will even fool ourselves into believing that we are when we aren't. Such introspection, psychologizing, and sometimes rationalizing are an attempt to liberate ourselves from the behavioral instinctiveness that other creatures are bound to. It's our attempt to get control of ourselves, to take charge of our behaviors despite our biological instincts and drives. The fields of ethics, philosophy, science, and psychology have been born out of this desire to understand reality and to act in accord with it, with what Taoism is considered the way of harmony with the universe, with the way things are. But it's hard, and few of us are very successful at it, and none of us are always successful at it. The ancient code within our bodies and the primitive ideas passed on to us from generation to generation are akin to the programming that's now guiding autonomous vehicles that move and act without thinking. They seem intelligent, they seem responsive to their environments, but they are unconscious of being pieces of hardware driven by software created by somebody else. But the disciplines I've mentioned are our attempt as humans to understand our coding and how to override it if that's what it takes to become better people. And this is why I chose to write my dissertation on the psychology of religion years ago. Like the title of this sermon, it actually is entitled Pathway or Pathology. I began with the premise that religion represents humanity's first attempt to rewrite a moral code that overrides our most base instincts in order to create a more just and peaceful world and more just and peaceful societies. Judaism's 10 Commandments are a prime example, which I have myself rewritten to facilitate a modern understanding of what they would have meant to their original audience. Don't revere anything more than your freedom. Don't take your ways and ideas too seriously. Don't act like you have all the answers. Do Make sure workers have rights, resources, and the time they need to live good lives. Do make sure you have a Social Security system in place to take care of your senior citizens. Don't destroy the lives of others. Don't dominate others. Don't take what you want from others. Don't demonize and dehumanize others, and don't profit at the expense of others. With these revisions, you can see that these commands were not fundamentally about worshiping a particular God, but about how to live more peacefully and justly with one another. They are not a divine covenant, but a social contract, and a pretty good one at that. They are also a good example of a religion operating as a pathway, as a way of life. That is, that helps us live better lives. On the other hand, when Moses insists, "This is what the Lord, the God of Israel, says, each of you take your swords and go back and forth from one end of the camp to the other. Kill everyone, even your brothers, your friends, and your neighbors." That's pathological. And in my opinion, it's scriptures like these that enable people like Benjamin Netanyahu and his supporters to justify Israel's bloodthirst and destruction in Gaza and now in Iran. My dissertation was based on a survey of what classical, modern, and developmental psychology says about religion. And this research led me to conclude that most major mental illnesses are dissociative in nature, meaning that they are pathological attempts to escape the harsh realities and traumas of life. Psychotherapy is about helping people reconnect and cope with reality in healthy ways. Without going into it deeper, this work then led me to conclude that religion can be used to help us better cope with reality or used to drive us deeper into our delusions, especially by helping us falsely confirm and justify those delusions. But this isn't true only of religion. As we have seen, the same can be said of ethics. We can use ethics as a means of becoming better people, by which I mean kinder and more just, or we can use it to justify mistreating and dehumanizing others. So how do we know the difference? How do we know if we are truly on an ethical path or behaving pathologically? Firstly, good question. Keep asking it. What's that saying? If you think you might be crazy, there's a good chance you're not. Remember what I said about human beings being unique in our ability to self-reflect and work to take charge of our own behavior. It's the people who are sure that they are right that we have to worry about. We should struggle over ethical problems because chances are whatever choice we make, it's not going to be a perfect choice. Am I doing the right thing? Is it really the best thing? What's the downside? Questions like these are vital to being an ethical person, even if we don't always quite get things right. Secondly, learn about ethics. We think we know the difference between good and evil, if you will, but few of us are ever taught about ethics, its approaches, or its perennial questions, its perennial problems. Instead, we base our notions of good and evil on what we've absorbed from others, like our parents or our teachers or our peers or our churches or our culture and so forth. Rather than relying on morality by osmosis, we ought to study the subject by reading books and articles and maybe even taking classes on the topic. Ethics is a field of philosophical study, not something we innately know or pick up on from others. Thirdly, figure out which ethical approach you think is best, then stick to it. Stick to it unless, through practice, after a while, you realize maybe it's not the best. And then shift. And there are essentially only three approaches: rule-based, outcome-based, and value-based. Living by certain rules, like the Ten Commandments, especially as I've interpreted them, is a great way to keep our own biases and needs out of the equation, right, from diluting our perspective, because we must obey them. Always obey them regardless of their impact on our lives. On the other hand, rules can become very rigid, they can become outdated, and they do not necessarily fit the nuances involved with every situation. They can also then become performative, and we can justify harming others by simply saying, I was just following the rules. Outcome-based ethics determine right and wrong based on the consequences of our actions rather than on the actions themselves. And this type of ethic can allow us to better adapt to particular and unforeseen situations. As my college philosophy professor, Dr. Wallace Roark, used to ask, if the ends don't justify the means, what does? Surely the consequences of our actions must matter most. But on the other hand, as Dr. Roark also frequently said, we cannot simply allow the ends to justify the means, or we can justify all manner of evil and wrongdoing to achieve what we call the greater good. The third ethical approach, value ethics, also called virtue ethics, strives to live according to broad principles or values, not specific rules, like integrity, kindness, truth, equality, human dignity, and the like. And if we foster these values within ourselves, they become virtues. That is part of our character, which is actually what the word ethics means, character, the Greek word for character. Ethics in this sense should be character building. In this way, our ethical approach is neither too rigid nor too open-minded, or open-ended, I should say. At the same time, because adhering to our values matters most, our personal needs and desires remain irrelevant. The goal is to adhere to them regardless of how doing so impacts our own lives. As the Stoic philosopher, founder of Stoicism, Zeno, said, values are the only thing that work in all circumstances. All else is indifferent. In other words, nothing else matters. If following my values benefits me, wonderful. If it causes me to suffer, that's okay too. The point is to follow the values. So study ethics, choose a path, and stick to it to help ensure that your own biases and desires aren't clouding your judgment, and that you're not choosing whichever ethics best suits your own interest in the moment. And this is what you'll see from all of us, right? If it's convenient, I'm all for the rules. If it's not, I'm all for the outcomes. If it's not, I'm all for my values that are superior above everything else, right? We vacillate, we switch, undisciplined, really using these different approaches in ways that are self-serving. Choose your ethic, know why you're choosing it, stick with it. And if it doesn't work, adapt so that it works better. When I wrote my controversial book, The Gadfly Papers, in 2019, I was ultimately advocating for the ethical values that had once defined Unitarianism and are the reasons why I am a Unitarian. I knew there was a possibility it would not be received well by some, and that it might negatively impact my life in some way. Where's that sandwich? In fact, the moment I came to start handing it out, I did so with much fear and trepidation. But because I practice value ethics, I could not allow such worries to prevent me from doing what I considered and still consider the right thing to do. The Unitarian Universalist Association, on the other hand, as my book portends, now adheres to a rigid and unforgiving outcome-based ethics, or ethic, that leads its adherents to justify doing whatever they must to protect and propagate their new ideology as much as possible before they die. In my estimation, Unitarian Universalism has been transformed from a once venerable and ethical pathway into a pathological ideology, proving the point of my dissertation that any religion can be used to help us better cope with reality or to drive us deeper into our delusions by justifying our wrongdoing. And if it can happen to Unitarians, it can happen to anyone. And this is why I consider this topic and the question that I have raised to be so crucial. Pathway or pathology? Which is guiding us? How can we be sure we are truly acting in ways that promote human welfare, peace, and justice, and not just doing whatever we want based upon our most basic instincts, fears, and desires, especially the drive to make sure our ideas dominate the meme pool by forcing them upon others? There is, I think, a simple test. If our beliefs make us more compassionate, more humble, more curious about others, and more willing to admit that we are wrong, then we are probably serving a pathway. But if they make us more certain, more defensive, angrier, and more willing to dismiss and to humanize others, to protect them, then I think we are behaving pathologically. A genuine ethical path does not make us feel superior to others. It makes us more responsible for how we treat them. It doesn't give us certainty, it gives us humility. It doesn't divide the world into the righteous and the wicked. It reminds us that every human being, ourselves included, is capable of both. So what kind of person do our ethical beliefs cause us to become? Do they make us kinder? Do they make us more patient with those who disagree with us? Do they expand the circle of those we consider our kin and therefore deserving of kindness? If they do, they are a pathway. But if they narrow that circle, if they make it easier for us to hate, to condemn, to harm, then no matter how righteous we feel, they have become pathological. Pathway or pathology? It's a question that can never be fully answered. It is the ongoing practice of examining ourselves, questioning our certainty, and choosing anew to act in ways that affirm the dignity and the humanity of others. not because we must become perfect, but because we are always striving to become better and to making the world a little better in that process. Thank you.
Okay, let's stand and sing. Building a new way. We are building a new way. We are building a new way. We are building a new way, feeling stronger every day. We are building a new way, and we are working to be free. We are working to be free. We are working to be free. Hate and greed and jealousy. We are working to be free.
For the benediction this morning, the words of William Butler Yeats. Life is a journey up a spiral staircase. As we grow older, we cover the ground we have covered before, only higher up. As we look down the winding stair below us, we measure our progress by the number of places where we were but no longer are. The journey is both repetitious and progressive. We go both round and upward. Amen, blessed be, salam alaikum, and shalom.